The show that poses the question, can you really tell when someone's faking it? My boyfriend would say no. Yes, thank you. Please welcome to the stage King Cyrus King, our musical appetizer for this evening. Yeah.
Greetings. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as you're aware, this show involves using your phone to vote at the end of the night. But that portion of the show hasn't started yet. And this is your last chance to Instagram and to Twitter. Ready? Let's do it. Big break. I had a big break tonight. My synthesizer broke, so I'm going to be using my cell phone. Here we go. If I could turn the time that I rearrange just a day or two. Tell me lies. But I couldn't find a way. So I settled for one day to believe in you. Tell me lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. You tell me lies, tell me lies. Oh no, you can't disguise. You can't disguise, no, you can't disguise. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Though we're not making plans, I hope that you'll understand there's a reason why. Tell me lie. No more broken hearts. We're better off apart. Let's give it a try. Tell me lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies, tell me lies. Oh no, you can't disguise. You can't disguise, no, you can't disguise. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Thank you. Again, this is your last chance to Instagram, even though it is your first chance to clap. So that was a little song by Fleetwood Mac about lying, and I've got one more other little song about lying. It's another cover, it's by Tom Waits. This is exactly how he would have viewed his music being done, ideally. The song's also about lying. Again, last chance to Instagram. I hope you're enjoying it. You guys ready to start the show? To start the show!
Please welcome to the stage your hosts, Ed Salazar and Kristen Stoddard.
Give it up for King Cyrus.
Cyrus, from your nightmares and into your dreams. Holy God, what happened to you all? Do you
I
feel
love it.
different? Do you feel changed?
I like that it put you guys on edge.
Yeah. Does it sound like I'm...
It sounds like
It does.
you're...
Okay, good. You guys, sometimes my voice is so loud in my own head. It's hard to tell if it's being projected to you all sufficiently. I'm Kristen Stoddard.
Or is she? I'm Ed Salazar.
Oh my goodness. How many of y'all have been to a Seems Legit or Three Truths, One Lie show before? Clap your hands. Good.
Oh.
Okay, if you have never been to one, clap your hands.
Oh.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, new people.
Appreciate. Thanks for showing to the free one.
A little harsh.
That's all right. They deserve it.
It's good, though.
We love you.
We love all of you. So we should probably talk.
Let's tell you how the show works.
Basically, this show is a storytelling show where we'll have 6 storytellers. And they're all telling true stories, except for one of them is a liar. Ooh.
Oh my gosh, so it's almost like you're super gonna have to pay attention.
Keep the napping to a minimum.
Cool thing about this show is that you will have the chance to vote on who you think is the liar at the end. And what we like to do is we're going to teach you guys how to do that up top, just with little quickies from both Ed and myself.
So here's our Twitter handles.
These are us. And what we're
It's fine.
This
Go
is
ahead.
us. What we're about to do is we flip a coin literally 10 minutes before we come on stage to decide who's lying and who is telling the
Because
truth.
preparing is for suckers.
It's practically improv. Guys, tonight's theme is...
Big break, because this is our big break, everybody.
Can you feel it? You're part of history. So what we do is, Ed and I are both going to tell you a brief story.
Very brief stories.
Brief stories from our own lives. One of us will be lying. Ed, would you like to go first?
I would love to go first and tell my very true story
Oh my
before you
goodness.
tell your very true story.
We'll see about that. You take it.
All right, everybody. This big break theme, I was not like the most supported person growing up.
His parents were both orphans.
That's
a true
I
statement.
basically grew up in like a sequel to a Dickens novel. And my parents like didn't know exactly how to support you. Like when I showed interest in music, they were just like, "That's great," and that was it. Like they never bought me a guitar or a violin or anything like that. But my mom did decide to support me one time. I was super obsessed with Neil Diamond, and I also loved choreography, and I loved the TV show Fame, and like I wanted to learn how to dance. So a normal mother would be like, "Oh, that's great. Let's take you to dance lessons." My mom was like, "No, let's not do that." And I was like, "Okay, well, I've watched Solid Gold enough. I can do this all on my own. I don't even need training." So I took Neil Diamond's Coming to America, which is a super awesome patriotic song. It's one of the most amazing. It literally makes country western people go like, "That's a little over the top with the patriotism." And my mom took me down. I lived in this town, Plattston, Nebraska. No one's from here. There? Okay, cool. I was hoping one clap.
Shout out from Plattsville.
P-Town, what up? 6,000 people. Like if a zombie apocalypse were to happen, like no one would notice, sort of thing, like that kind of town, where literal tumbleweeds would roll through things. And my mom took me down to the VFW at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think just during a regular day of the week, with a boombox, and we had like, I think 4 people in sort of various levels of like injured from different wars. We basically had a representative from all of the great wars, and like the Civil War, like all of them. And they were all sitting up front, and I go up on stage, and I hit play, and I do a whole choreographed dance number to Neil Diamond's Coming to America. I swear to God,
What were you wearing?
I was wearing something with a flag on it. I was wearing a t-shirt with a flag on it. I mean, like, it was a whole thing. I was like 9 or 10 years old, and America seemed really awesome. And I know that, like, there's a really, like, big breakdown moment where he's like, these lands of liberty today, and there's like an audience sort of like overdub, like, today, and I'm like on stage by myself. I remember it being super sunny. Like, I remember like being in just like the most sun-drenched room ever and going, today, like that, and I finished my number, and then like no one applauds. They are more traumatized, but they all have PTSD, and then immediately them getting wheeled around for bingo that starts in an hour. Like it opened with Ed Salazar, closed the show with bingo.
I believe it. Oh my gosh, you guys, Ed Salazar, let's hear it. Thank you. I like to tell you guys when to applaud. Let's hear it for him. You guys, my story, we also do not discuss like what our stories are going to be about or anything like this. My story is also about dancing. I was a member of the Porter Pixies dance team in high school. It was like the Pom Squad. So when you're a freshman, you can join this all-freshman team full of dancers called the Porter Pixies, and you had to audition and things like that. And I have rhythm, but I don't have a lot of like training, which I think that's where the story takes place, at the nexus of my rhythm and me being outed for not having any training. Essentially what happened was I had been on the dance team my freshman year. I had skated by. We had done our first routine to John Mellencamp's ROCK in the USA.
Classic.
Like this, giant pom-pom. And my sophomore year, you had to audition for varsity. And so, or try out for varsity, that's the sporting term. To try out for varsity.
That's the industry term. That is the industry for varsity.
You can see where this ends, guys, with me doing theater. So you have to try out for varsity. And the coach from our freshman team was present at the tryouts, and she had really liked me because I have a lot of positive energy. And I like barely skated by through like the skills portion. You have to be able to do like a right splits, a left splits, a middle splits, and then like a switch leap, which I cannot do. And then
wait, can you show a switch leap just real quick? What's a
It's like, but if your first leg goes back like that, you go like these, switch in the air. It's like that.
So graceful.
I mean, I've still got it. So my sophomore year, I get put on the varsity team through no fault of my own. And then we go to like dance camp that summer. And we're all learning the routines. And the thing is, the first night of dance camp is just like you imagine it. It's just like a lot of girls with ponytails, ribbons, short shorts, matching everything. Just a lot of just estrogen flowing freely. And all of the schools perform for each other. And I had been having a really difficult time. There was this thing where you had to do, it's called a pull through. Your legs, I will not demonstrate, but basically you go like this with your legs, but you're on the ground. Your hips never leave the ground. You just sweep your legs like this around you. People can do that. Teenage girls can do that. I like wasn't one of them. And so we were there, but they wouldn't like cut the move from the routine. They just put me like in the super back. And there was all this pressure like on me to not make us look terrible in front of all of these people at dance camp, UDA dance camp. I'm fine. And so, I thought to myself, like, here we go. Like, I'm gonna be a member of the team. I'm not gonna fuck this up because adrenaline is going to like pull me through this pull through. It did not. I got stuck. Like, I got stuck to the point that during the routine, and I mean, I was in the back, but like I couldn't get up. Like I like pulled the inside of my thigh, trying to do it, and I just collapsed in the corner, crying. Oh, this is kind of a sad story, guys. But it turns out okay. Look, here I am. I'm fine. And so I pull my inner muscle, my groin muscle. I'm stuck on the ground. The two girls have to kind of like roll me off. They finish the routine, like my place in the kick line, just they like moved it in. And I quit the dance team to do the play later that month.
Good choice.
Thank you.
That was great. Give it up for Kristen, everybody.
Yay! Now you have a round of applause. Thank you. Oh,
Thank
Cyrus,
you.
it's gorgeous. So you guys, now's the time when you get to decide who's lying about their dance abilities. And so what you're going to do is now you can take out your phones. This is a cool thing about the show, is we don't rap.
Wait a second, maybe we could.
Okay, lay it down, Ed.
No.
Okay.
So this is a part of the show where you get to pull out your phones and no one will yell at you. And just start tweeting at us who you think the liar is, whether you think my story of entertaining the troops is a lie, or Kristen's story of entertaining high schoolers is a lie.
Horrifying the teenage girls. Who
And
who
Rachel
could
will be
it
tallying those tweets right now.
Yes.
Give it up for our producer Rachel, everybody. She's a
Also
lie.
known as the voice of God tonight.
Do you remember what song that you were dancing to when you pulled it?
Yes, Brass Monkey.
What?
It was like Brass Monkey by the Beastie Boys. It was like a.
It was, were you guys doing a lot of Running Man and stuff?
No, it was a lot of like. We would do stuff like this. We would like go to get from one place to the next, run a dance, and we jump, and then you wait.
How are we doing the voting, Rach?
There are also a series of facial expressions
on a
assigned to
keyboard.
each movement. So if you were gonna do a jump, you had to go.
You know what I can do a toe touch.
Yes, you may do it officially.
This is not normally part of the show.
Now it is. What? He just put my Switch keys to shame. Now I really feel like you just gained some points for the veracity of your story, and I gained some points for using the word veracity.
It's a tie.
How are we
How are we
doing,
doing,
Rachel?
So we're exactly even.
Oh my gosh! One more person. Get on your Twitter.
Both of our
Okay. Voting is done.
Voting
Ed
is
Salazar.
done. The polls are closed.
Hold your phones away.
Ed Salazar is the supposed liar.
Guys, the liar is, and I have to admit this, Kristen Studdard, everybody. Here's what I love about this show is that like it's making us into sociopaths. Like we get like every time we get better at lying.
I was on the dance team, so it gave me some,
Yeah,
some
you grounded
beautiful
it.
details to trick you with.
That was great.
Thanks. That was.
Yeah, so that's it, guys. You're going to see some people tell really amazing stories, and at the end, we're going to do this all again for them. We want to bring out your first performer
Absolutely.
right now.
And you're going to leave your mic for him, and I will take mine with me.
All right, good.
Okay, you ready to introduce him?
Yeah, I think so.
We're going to do it together?
Do it together. This next
so
comic
I'm
to the
gonna
stage. We shouldn't do it together. No. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Just go.
all right. This next comic coming to the stage runs a show. Is a part of a show Comedy Collective, and has a show on Sunday nights, not far from here at the Complex Theater. Is one of the
Called
funnest-
Power Violence.
Called Power Violence.
Yeah.
He's one of the funniest people I know. Everyone, please welcome Whitmer Thomas.
Give it up for Ed and Kristen, everybody. Oh man. Okay. Well, I have had a few big breaks, and I guess I've really only. I don't know. It's difficult. I came to LA when I was 18 years old, and I mean, a lot of weird stuff has happened since then, and a lot of the potential big breaks. I don't know. When I came here, I was like 18 years old, and I was wide-eyed and tan. And, there was no reason for anybody to say no to me. I came here to be a writer and an actor. I don't know. I just wanted to be here and be doing that. And through going to community college, I ended up meeting some people who introduced me to other people, and then I made some friends, and eventually I made friends with all of these dudes. Most of them were named Jeremy. And they were all really cute boys, some of them under the age of 18. A lot of them had nice hair, like curly, nice, pretty hair, and they had pretty bodies and like skinny little bodies, and they were just pretty, pretty boys. And these guys liked me, and so I would kind of roll with them. They made me feel good about myself, and so like a couple weeks into hanging out, they all were saying they were going to Disneyland, and they had said they had been before with this famous director named Bryan Singer, and that Bryan Singer had been taking them all to Disneyland for free, and I was like, that sounds great. So I thought, well, I would love to go if I'm invited. And so they invited me to go, and I was planning on going. And I remember even calling my dad to tell him about it. I was like, Dad, Bryan Singer's taking me and a bunch of other cute, adorable boys to Disneyland. And I was like, I don't know who that is, dude. Probably not a good idea, though. Anyway, so it ended up that morning, that I had gotten a call from this background actor site that I had like signed up for, and they said I could be a cast background extra on the OC. And so I was like, oh, well, this is probably like a better idea for me to go do that. So I did that, and I told my friend Jeremy, hey, give me a call after Disneyland. I'd love to hang and meet Bryan. And he was like, okay. So he gave me a call after that, and I still wasn't done. I hadn't wrapped yet with my OC job. And he's like, we're all going to go spend the night at his house. All of us. And I was like, oh, man, I guess I can't make it. And the next day I texted Jeremy, hey, man, how was that slumber party? And he never responded, and I never talked to Jeremy again. So who knows what happened to him, man. I feel like something scared him and he had to go back to Omaha or wherever he was from. But anyway, I could have been one of those boys, except I was 18, so I was an adult, but I looked like a boy. But I remember I regretted it every day that I didn't go. I was like, damn it. Should have gone to Disneyland with Bryan Singer and his friends. My real big break opportunity that I thought I had, I was 10 years old. And my mom was this musician, and she had dated a lot of famous people when she was younger. She had dated Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates and Don Henley from the Eagles, and she sang backup for Bob Marley and the Wailers, and she was just like a cool woman. And later in life, she, I guess, wasn't so cool anymore because she started dating Dennis Haskins from Saved by the Bell. Mr. Belding. And the way that I discovered that was like one of the most traumatic moments of my life. Like I really thought that Dennis, Mr. Belding, like had the key to my success as a movie star. When I was 10 years old, he would call and I'd be like, hey Dennis, so got any big parts for me out there? Like I thought that Dennis could do anything at the moment, the late 90s, which, he was already washed up. But so my mom had a really bad drinking problem. She had been to rehab, 12 times, and she had been sober for about a week, and she decided to celebrate by going to New York. And so I go to New York with her and my older brother and my cousins, and we're at the hotel one night, and they all decide to leave. My brother and my cousins go do teenager things. My mom goes and does an adult thing. And they leave me at the hotel by myself, and I was watching Dana Carvey's HBO special, and I get a phone call, and I answer it, and the hotel had this courtyard in the center of it, so you could see, it was like a square hotel, and you could see into the other rooms. I get this phone call, and this is the most terrifying thing. I answer it, and it's just a man with that scream voice, you know, that like, I'm gonna gut you, that voice. But he goes, I answer it, I go, hello, and he goes, hey, little boy, I'm gonna come in there and fuck you in the ass. Which is not funny, it's just terrifying. And so I hang up and crawl under the bed. And he calls back again. I answer and he goes, don't you fucking hide under the bed. I'm gonna come in there right now and fuck you in the ass. And so I bolt out of the hotel. I run down the stairs and run into the lobby bar and I go, have you seen my mom? They're like, I don't know, I don't know who you're talking about. Then I run across the street to another bar and I look inside to see my mom's in there. She's not in there. And I run back across the street to another bar and she's in there. She's in there, and I run up to her, and I'm really upset because she was sober. She was supposed to be sober. She had a bottle of alcohol, and I was really sad. And I was like, freaking out, you know. I was like, Mom, there's a man, and he keeps calling me, and he keeps saying awful things, Mama. Oh, no, I don't know what to do. And why are you drinking? You said you're not. You said you stopped. And then I turned, and this is when I discovered this. I was like, why are you drinking? You said you're... And what is Mr. Belding doing here? That was the first time I realized my mom was dating Mr. Belding. Was post-almost rape. And I don't know. And then they eventually broke up. And Mom then started dating Howard Scott from War. And he was really stoked to my political punk career when I was 12 years old. I really dove in there. But anyway, that's it. Mr. Belding, I thought he was my answer, but he wasn't. He sucks.
You guys, let's hear for Whitmer Thomas! I'm gonna title that story, Not Saved by the Belding. Thank you. I thought of that just backstage. You guys, our next performer, you may know him from Chelsea Lately, or his web series Verbal Voguing, or his current web series The Snap, which is a weekly takedown. You guys are going to frickin' love him. His name is Louis Vertel, and let's hear it for him. Come on!
I want you to know that the minute Whitmer mentioned Bryan Singer, everybody was like stacked in the doorway listening like the Muppet Babies. It was, is he here? I'm actually going to begin this, unfortunately, by disappointing you. About 6 years ago, we had a national election with two diametrically opposed candidates, and I don't know what you've gathered from my effeminate auctioneer energy. But actually, I did not vote for who you think I would have voted for. You'll probably be disappointed in me, so I'm just gonna say this. Hope we can get over this. I did not vote for Adam Lambert, I voted for Chris Allen. This is serious. It's an American Idol 2009 joke, I hope you guys all understood that. And you better, because this is a fucked up story about Adam Lambert, so enjoy it. Here's the thing, when he happened, he wasn't out yet when he was on the show, but like gay people were really rallying around him, and my problem was that I fucking hated him. To me, everything he sang sounded like the worst Heart song ever. No matter what the fucking song was, it could have been like Highway 61 Revisited, and it sounded like Ann Wilson was dying. You know what I mean? He was like gay, skinny, fat Elvis, right? Think about it. You know I'm right. Meanwhile, I kind of liked the weird Alabama guy he was up against. Like, I related to him more. Like, he was just some straight guy who shopped at the Buckle. I understood that. So I voted for him. But anyway, so I had sort of, around this time, 2009, made myself known as somebody who did not like Adam Lambert. I was not signed on to Adam Lambert. Well, My first job in LA was working for this horrible website that was on its last legs, but it was run by a company that used to run a very famous movie magazine. So the one thing this fucking stupid cum dump website had going for it was that it ran this award show where, follow me, they gave like these meaningless awards. Like it would literally be something like, the hottest CW star under 14, like something like ridiculous, like an actual trophy was given for this. And they would have that person come, and then one of their celebrity friends would present it to them. And it'd be like, and then they'd get a picture with the two celebrities in front of like the Svedka vodka banner, and then that would make money, and then Extra would come and shoot it, and suddenly it's a money-making operation. Anyway, you know, it's like this, how this whole town works, right? Like these horrible corporate things. Anyway, so I worked for this horrible website under two people. How can I express how horrible they were? Two women. The first one was named Deb. Guess what Deb was short for? Deb. There was no more to the name. She was like a born and bred Deb. That's grim. Then there was this other woman named Marianne. Marianne, 100% of the time, wore harem pants. Usually doesn't mean you're a good person. And also like deep, like insane harem pants. Like there was like the length between like her actual crotch and the harem crotch was about a Jenga board. That's about how long it was, always. And as you can tell, I prefer, if we're talking in Parker Brothers lingo, about half a Monopoly thimble is what I prefer. So the day of this fucking cum dump award show, oh, the best part about this award show, so like the whole gimmick is that celebrities are presenting to each other and it's very earnest and fun and they love each other. Except I wrote the speeches they gave. So it was like, I had to pretend like I was writing as their friend who just like appreciates all their fucking work. You know what I mean? So it's like, sorry, like chick from the Vampire Diaries who thought Ian Somerhalder actually wrote this beautiful soliloquy about your career. It was actually me and a wiki search. So anyway, the day of the award show, I've done all the fucking work for this. Marianne, like, saunters over as fast as she can because the harem pants are literally hampering her physical abilities. She goes, Lewis, like every person named Marianne who addresses somebody like this. She's like, we just booked Adam Lambert today. You need to write a speech and we need to have it in 30 minutes. So suddenly I'm like jarred because obviously, as you remember, historically, I hate Adam Lambert. So I'm jogging my brain and I'm coming up with like the most effusive, complimentary, florid, ridiculous compliments I can like shove into a speech really quickly, and it's like ridiculous. I'm saying things like, his incredible voice, his wonderful pout, he, you know, speaks well. I'm literally I'm inventing things to like about Adam Lambert. He has a wonderful strut. You would have thought he was Billy the Kid, the amount I was like talking him up. I finally fucking get it in. Marianne's like, whatever, we'll take it. Like, not pleased. We go to the award show that night. Svedka bottles are everywhere. Marianne's drop kicking them at every celebrity in sight, getting pictures, all these things. Who presents the award to Adam Lambert? But if you remember American Idol, there was a judge named Cara Diaguardi, who was the songwriter who replaced Paula Abdul, who had long squandered her PhD in vibology. If you know Paula Abdul, that is the best fucking Paula Abdul joke you will ever fucking Thank you, a woman or something gay. Anyway, so Cara is reading this horrible speech that I've written for Adam Lambert. And get this, she's fucking killing it. Delivering it hard, landing the right syllables. It's like beat poetry. We're like, this woman has like an audiobook career. We should get her a fucking Kipling anthology. Like, we're like obsessed with her. We can't believe she's nailing it, whatever. So Adam Lambert goes up and accepts it. All is good. I'm thankful it went well because I really thought I was going to be fired for writing really a shit speech with like lots of like laced in sarcasm about how I don't like him and stuff. Thought I'd just gotten away with it. A couple of months later, finally, this is right when American Idol had ended, so Adam was actually like a humongous star for like that millisecond. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. I'm watching Entertainment Weekly and he's giving a video interview about his new album and about his favorite song on the album, which is called Strut. And they're asking him what like inspired the song. He goes, oh my gosh, a few months ago I was at an award show and Cara Diaguardi gave me this unbelievable speech about my strut and all these, and what I wear. He was like, we were both so inspired that we had to turn it into a song on the album. Okay, a couple of things just happened here. Kira DioGuardi claims she fucking wrote the speech. Like she's like the Martin Luther King of saving Adam Lambert. 2, I go from like the #1 detractor of Adam to the #1 actual Adam muse. Disgusting. There's like just desserts. But all was well because at the end of the day, I got to have a good laugh about it with Chris Allen, who was my cashier at the Buckle yesterday. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Louis Story. All right, guys, thank you so much. That was great. This next comedian coming on stage is a really good friend of mine. I love her to death. She writes for the show Ridiculousness. You may have seen her on Comedy Bang Bang and The Birthday Boys. Everyone, please welcome to stage Emily Maya Mills.
Thank you. Hello. So, it was the late 1990s. I was 19, and I was standing in front of a customs officer at the San Francisco International Airport, sweating my nubile little balls off. And I had just stepped off a plane from Guadalajara, which I had connected from Mexico City, which I had connected from Cancun, which I had connected from Havana, Cuba. And this was Havana, Cuba of the 90s, 90s Castro, like machine guns, embargo. He had the full-on Rachel and Fubu outfit on. And the passports were very explicit about how no American shall travel to Cuba or Libya or they'll cut your fucking hands off, that kind of Cuba. And that wasn't exactly why I was sweating as I was standing there in front of this customs officer. That story started 2 years earlier when I was 17 and freshly emancipated, living on my own in San Francisco. And I had done what any newly emancipated 17-year-old young lady would do as a responsible adult. I borrowed a fake birth certificate from a couple of underage strippers and went to the DMV to create a fake identity so that I could buy myself strawberry boons like a big girl. And taking care of business. I had a job. I worked in retail at a place that sold half shirts and candles. So I didn't need any Haight Street bums to buy my booze for me, So I don't know if you're clear on this, but the process, if you want to take a fake ID to create a fake identity at the California DMV, is pretty intricate. Step 1 is that you need to make sure you make it a field trip style party with 3 of your friends. You need to make sure that you have 2 roommates who both sell weed and smoke you out that morning instead of paying their electrical bill. You need to make sure you just stepped off the plane a couple days prior from visiting your grandma and grandpa in Virginia, so your ears haven't popped or cleared from that plane ride. And then step 4, I would say, is when you get to the actual desk, the counter at the DMV, you need to make sure your friends are still right by your side, so that as the attendant flips your birth certificate over and back over and looks at you quizzically and asks, have you ever had an identification in the state of California under any other name, then you have one of your friends there to say, almost in slow motion, they're gonna take your thumbprint. The next step would be to have your eyes roll back in your head and you drop to the floor as you pass out. Unconscious. And then it's really easy after that because the final step, or second to final step, is that the staff with the DMV will pick you up, shove a candy cane in your mouth because they think you're having a diabetic seizure, drag you towards the photo booth while you say, no, 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 no. And as they cut you to the front of the line to immediately take your picture, you just very clearly say to your friend, Laura, distinctly and out loud, Laura, they're trying to get me. They're trying to get me. Then you have them take your photo of your very gray face that also sort of reads, I'm lost and my mother didn't hug me enough. And you go ahead and walk outside and run from the general manager of the DMV who's calling out, are you sure you're okay? You don't want to wait for the paramedics. No, we're good. You get in your car, and then immediately when you hear the sirens, you peel out and start to run away from the fire trucks and the paramedics until somebody has the wherewithal to suggest that maybe we don't need to run from the paramedics. Come back around, get checked out, say, yeah, everything's fine, I just wasn't feeling well. And then get that ID in the mail 2 weeks later. So there is like a step 8 and 9, which would be to turn yourself in and quit smoking weed forever. Those are optional, and I skipped those. So there I was, standing in front of this customs officer, trying to re-enter the country from 90s Cuba. I had 2 boxes of Cohibas in my bag. I was planning on selling at my mom's office like Girl Scout cookies. And all I could think as I stood before that officer in that moment, the only thing that was running through my head was just, they're gonna take your thumbprint on a loop. And I was sweating. And he looked at me, and he looked at my passport, which they so cleverly stamp a piece of paper when you get to Havana, give you that as a token that I lost, of course. So there was no evidence. He looks at my passport, but he does do this sort of same flipping it over and flipping back over. He looks me like deep in my eyes. He looks at my bag that I'm carrying. He looks back into my eyes and then what seems like into my soul. And he says, you got any iguanas in that bag? Get in here, come on, get in here. You remind me of my daughter, come on, get on in here. And then they did proceed to single out and pull aside the one Rastafarian fellow who was on our travel group and question him for 3 hours. Thank you, I'm Emily Maya Mills. Have a good night.
Let's hear it for Emily Maya Mills! Yes! You guys, my mom cannot take a driver's license picture to save her life, and my sister actually texted me last night a picture of my mom trying to smile, which it looks like this. It looks like she is about, like, it looks like a proof of life photo. Like she's been kidnapped, she's trying to pretend that everything's okay. Cool story. Hi, you guys. You guys are going to really love our next performer. He also writes for Ridiculousness, and he has a ridiculously fun name to say, and that is Hampton Yount. Let's hear it.
Did you guys not know it was going to be an all ridiculousness show? Did you not plan on that? You guys like web clips? And skateboarding? Do you like skateboarding? All right. It's not that significant. The coincidence that me and Emily are on the show together. You're not supposed to know if we're telling a lie or a truth. Do you guys remember earlier today when the Earth exploded? Do you remember that? No? No? No one remembers that? No one remembers that when the Earth ended? Everything ended? Yeah, that guy. That guy remembers. You guys all don't do enough drugs to remember when the Earth ended. No. My dad does a lot of drugs. He loves them. Loves them. He's cuckoo for them. He claims he's done 400 hits of acid, which is 25 too many. It's too many. That's just greedy then. You're being overindulgent. We've gotten in like weird arguments sometimes where we were arguing about God one time, and he was like, oh, I know there's a God because one time I was like, God, if you exist, let me move this rock with my mind, and then I moved a rock with my mind, so there must be a God. And I was like, Dad, at any point in the day did you do acid? And he was like, well, yeah. He was like, but that was like 8 hours before. That's like way out of your system by then. It's like, you can't tell any story that involves in the day you did acid, and it immediately becomes suspect, right? It doesn't matter what the fucking story is. You could be like, I put a bunch of eggs in the fridge. I don't know. Did you? If we look in there, like a bunch of doll heads gonna just like pour out, like, oh no! You gappy. He's a crazy guy. He makes a lot of decisions. When we were growing up, we'd have to travel with him. He's like a mineral dealer, which is a job that doesn't really exist. He basically lives off the grid, and he's claimed to have worked for the CIA. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's possible. It's possible. Knowing him, it's possible. One time when I was a kid, he just this is just kind of sums up my dad, where somebody had stolen a mineral from him. A mineral is like a gem crystal. It's like a thing that like weird gypsies and people like and they collect, and sometimes you'll see in museums, and this is what he does for a living, is he like just trades these, and it's like off the books basically. Like it's just like basically thieves dealing with other thieves. And he had his 4 kids with him traveling around the world when we were kids, and we would like I saw him like bribe like police officers and stuff, like just to like get crystals out of the country. It's weird, like, but that's largely my childhood. But this, I feel, sums him up best. My dad, a guy stole from him, and then he was wearing like this big poncho, and he was at a mineral show, and he like walked up to the guy. He was like, "You got to give back that crystal," and the guy just had it. He wasn't even trying to. He was like, "No, it's mine now." Like that's the level of thieves he just dealt with, where they just, "No, I stole it when you weren't looking. Now I have it." Ha! And my dad was just like, he's wearing the poncho. It was the coolest thing I ever saw, but he did like a fucking ninja kick. Like that dope. Just like bam! Like within this close to the guy's fucking face. And he's just like, here you go. Here is the crystal. That's my dad. That's my dad. That's how he chooses to deal with things. And he makes a lot of decisions that I don't like. Now in retrospect, I've gone through therapy. I'm like, wow, man, that guy, fuck him. He, wow, just kind of blown away. All the shit. You know, like when you realize like years later when your parents are like, oh, I did coke for many years. You're like, oh, like it's just like a puzzle piece just got landed in your tongue. Yeah, coke! Like everything makes sense. Like suddenly, you're like, when my mom fucking drove off the side of the road and just started punching a tree, coke! And then she just hated that tree. I was like, why are you so mad? It was so disturbing when that happened. But then years later, you go, oh, you did coke. I'm 30. I have friends that do coke. Oh, I get it. You're weird, like me. You're weird. But they made weird decisions. My dad, they found when he got a little bit of money, when he started doing well with the gems, it was a little bit of cash going. He was like, I'm going to send my kids to private school. But he found the worst private school I think I've ever. This is the school I went to, and it was in an old folks' home. That's the private school I went to. Was inside of an old folks' home, inside of old like people's rooms that they died. They were gone. And that was the new school that was forming. This was like a bunch of radical teachers who had like broken off from the administration part of a school and were just like, we're gonna form our own school! Which is cool when it's a Sandra Bullock movie. But when you're living it and you're the kid like in the new school that's like their workshop, they're trying to figure it out. It's fucking, we don't know. It's a private school, so they don't have to fucking vet their teachers. The teachers there were like 19 years old. There was a teacher there who was 20 years old. He fucked my sister. That happened in an old folks' home. That's the school that we all lived in. And fucking, okay, so half the school, I say half, most of the school, was the old folks' home. Then they had the classes. Elderly people who had dementia would just wander into classes. Sometimes they'd be like, Kevin, where's Kevin? Where's my boy? He's not here, ma'am. And that was, you know, the kind of the background of that school. It was kind of disturbing. The health teacher died of a heart attack in front of all the students. He taught how to save people from heart attacks and stuff. Like, they all just watched, like, whoa, he's dying. It was really sad. It was a fucked up school. 4 teachers got, like child molestation charges against them. And 1 was a principal. So, hey, you know, they're doing pretty well. It was a weird school. It attracted a lot of weird kids by de facto. We had sports teams, but they weren't like really sports teams because we don't have to play in like any actual kids like leagues, you know, that were like in the States. It was just like private school leagues, which they made up an opponent for us. That's okay. So my school was like Wakefield. That was the place. The big rival that we had growing up was called Seton. And I never played sports, but I remember everyone always being like, oh, Seton, we're gonna wreck Seton. Like the main course of study at the school is Latin. But we're like, we're gonna crush Seton at women's field hockey. We're gonna get them. That was the big school. Seton was I found this out in adult age, was a conglomerate of homeschooled kids who never met each other, essentially. Do you understand? That was our big enemy. And we lost to Seton Incorporated all the time. Kids who'd never met each other, who no practice. Some believe in like weird God shit. They're beating the fuck out of us on a regular basis. I kind of want to lead into that with just that the kids that went there, I think about them and they're all like kind of sexual degenerates. Like in retrospect, the kids who I went to like middle school with, like I feel like boys' puberty is way harder than girls' puberty. Like just in like the psychological end, not in the physical end. Like girls have it way harder on the physical end. Like you're growing like hair in new places, your chest is expanding, you're bleeding. It's like you're becoming a werewolf. Like it's really, it's a delicate time. But I think guys have it way worse, like psychologically with puberty. Just in the fact that every guy I know, at one point during his puberty, was shown something by another boy going through puberty that was so psychologically jarring, it stayed with him the rest of his life. When I was a kid, my friend, I was sitting on his couch, it was in his basement, and he threw a pillow at my head, and then I looked down, and it was like a Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy. Do you remember those? The Hulk Hogan like wrestling buddies that you like flip around your basement? And he'd cut a little vagina out of the doll that he'd been fucking. And he threw that at me, and he was like, yeah? Pretty cool, right? And he goes, yeah? And I knew nothing of sex. I didn't masturbate till I was 19. I was raised super Catholic, and that's way too late in life. It was literally the night I became an atheist. That's how I actually remember it. Because I thought I was going to hell, so it was just like, I was in bed one night, just like laying awake, like rock hard erection, just like, it's probably bullshit. Hey, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. But so he threw that at me. Listen to my lap, and he goes, I didn't know anything of sex. I knew nothing of sex. And he goes, hey, I jerk off with that. Yeah? Like, pretty cool, right? And I'd heard, like, movies say jerking off, and I was like, yeah, awesome. Like, yeah, cool, super cool. I probably said radical. It was the 90s. And then he like, takes a cue from me, and he just, like, lifts up this other pillow that's just like a poorly frosted cake of cum, just like, bruh. It's just solid. And he goes, well, my brother jerks off with this. I remembered all this a week ago. This all Vietnam flashed back into my mind. All of a sudden, where it's like, he threw it at my face! The wrestling buddy threw it at my face! Girls don't have that. Girls don't have that. Girls don't get off on showing fucked up shit to other girls. No girls ever run up to her friends at the end, like she had a big date the night before, goes up to her friends the next day and is like, guys, check it out, smell my pussy. It totally smells like fingers. Check it out. It's got that distinct finger aroma. Yeah. Super gross, but you know what? You guys have been great. Have a great night. Thank you.
All right, we're going to keep the show going. This next comic coming to stage is one of the hosts of The Meltdown, which is soon to be a TV show on Comedy Central. Please welcome to stage Jonah Ray, everybody!
Thank you, Ed Salazar. Thank you, yous. I didn't know they wanted me to talk about the big break, and I've been out in Los Angeles since August of 2001, and my first job out here was that I worked at a record store in Venice Beach, and I was so excited because it was like Venice Beach seemed very exotic to me, and I found it was nothing but burnout trust fund hippies that were way too into the doors. There's a bunch of fucking shitty kids that went out there because of the ramblings of a drunken asshole poet in Jim Morrison. A real piece of shit, if you ask me. And I had to deal with these people all the time. They had a lot of weird customers at this record store. And it was, one of the customers was the first day, like it was this guy who was a regular. His name was Barry Sobel. He was a comic in the 80s. And he had somewhat of a crush on the employee that left that I replaced. So on one of the first days I was working, Barry Sobel from Revenge of the Nerds Part 2 comes in, and he comes in, he's like, hey, who the fuck are you? And I was like, I'm Jonah, the new guy. Like I said it like I was in a fucking sitcom. Jonah, the new guy. Like I'm a late season replacement of a TV show. Where'd you come from? I've been in the back. He's like, I was like, I'm Jonah, the new guy. He's like, where's Chris? I was like, oh, he went to college. He's like, fuck this, and left. And then I turned to my boss, I was like, who's that? He's like, you ever seen Revenge of the Nerds Part 2? I was like, is that the guy from Punchline? He's like, it is. I was like, he don't like me. And he's like, he's fine. He comes back in later and takes my boss aside to complain that I suck. That I am like a piece of shit. He's like, you gotta get rid of that guy. And it turns out the guy before me who worked at that store was a very young, boyish kid who had just like, who was a gorgeous looking, like Wit, but like tinier. So it's like, so if that guy is Brian Singer, and this kid's Wit. So, and like instead of Disneyland, he like can take you to Tom Hanks's house. He was friends with him because of the movie Punchline. Anyway, so like he like, you know, like would just like, and I was like, hey, I feel you're, I was like, I was never a confrontational kid, and I'm still not a confrontational person, but I was like in, you know, Los Angeles, and I was like, this is time for the new me, and I'm not gonna take someone saying shit about me. I was like, hey, I don't appreciate I'm sorry. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. You could just, I'm sorry. It makes me feel bad when you say that. And he's like, I don't even think I'm gonna shop here anymore. Just kind of being like a complainer, and he came there all the time. Anyway, later that night, I went to a show in downtown Los Angeles. I was living in San Pedro at the time, so I tried to get off of work early, couldn't, got off of work, got back home to San Pedro, where everyone was already drinking and getting ready to drive up to downtown because it's like 20 miles on the freeway. Let's drink to make sure the drive is less not dangerous. And so we all started, and everyone's had already been kind of drinking, so I needed to catch up, which is something you think about when you're a child and you want to drink. When you're an adult, you never go, well, I better drink real fast to catch up. No, that's for children. You guys clearly don't know how to drink if that's something that you think you need to do. It's like when you need to catch up is meaning you're just gonna hurt your tummy. That's what it's gonna happen. What I did is I made a mix of mostly gin, but then it wasn't enough that I thought I should have, so also vodka and whiskey, and then cherry Coke. And a lot of that cherry Coke for color. And so I'm drinking that in the back of a van on the way up to downtown Los Angeles, and it's like at some real shitty part of downtown. And it's in an abandoned building on the 3rd floor. There's a punk show going on, and I walk in, and right when I walk in, my belly's all distended and full from all this booze. And some guy right when I walk in, he's like, "Hey, you want a beer?" And I was like, "Yeah, Los Angeles is great." And I was like, "I'll take." I took the beer. He's on. "Here's another one, so you don't ask me later." I was like, "Holy shit!" He read my mind and saw the future that I would probably do that. And so I start to drink one beer, and then a band starts to play a cover song of Screeching Weasel, one of my favorite bands. They play a Screeching Weasel song, and I'm like, "Oh man, I gotta dance to this." So I run up, and I'm dancing around after I've just pounded a warm PBR, and I have another one in my hand, and I'm jumping around. I was like, "Oh God, I'm feeling weird. I better relax and replenish my liquids with this shaken up Pabst Blue Ribbon." So it fizzes a bit, and it's real fizzy, and I drink it all the way, and then I start to dance some more, and all it does is just party in my tummy, and it starts to just not make me feel too good at all. And so I realize I have to puke. So I try and go to the bathroom. There's a long line. No one's going to let me cut. And then I was like, oh good. Here we go. And I go down the stairs and try to find a place in a stairwell where I can throw up, but there's just people doing drugs and having sex and making out. Just a sequence of just bad things. I don't want to ruin any kind of a heroin addict's good time by puking near him. He's going to do that himself soon enough. So I went out, and I went out to outside the building, and there was just people everywhere. I didn't want to throw up in front of anybody, and so I started just getting real drunk and started kind of just wandering, and I went down an alleyway that no one was at, and I finally just started puking out everything that I had just ingested. And then I also had to pee real bad at the same time, so I puked this way and then peed this way. like a shitty Roman sculpture. Just let it all out. And then I lost my balance, fell against the wall, kind of hit my head, slid down, and was exhausted. I was like, ah! It was one of those things where it felt like a second, but I looked at my watch, and 4 hours had passed by. 4 fucking hours. I was passed out with my pants down. Pee one side, puke the other. Nothing on me, which was kind of amazing. I was kind of like, what? Oh, fuck. Hey. Pretty amazed. And then I was like, oh God. And then I got up and I ran back to the place, and I ran in, and the show's done. It had got busted up by the cops. And I was like, has anyone seen my ride? I couldn't remember the guy who drove me, so I couldn't know who to ask for. So I was like, have you seen my dad? I felt like a fucking shitty lost kid. And I was like, no, I don't know. And I was like, oh God, I was asking around. No one knew where anyone was, because they were just kind of scattered when the cops got there. And then I went outside, and I was walking up the street, and then I hear a voice go, oh, fuck. and it was fucking Barry Sobel coming out of a nondescript weird bar going, what the fuck are you doing here? And I was like, I got abandoned. I don't know where I am. I'm new. And like, he's like, shit, where do you live? And I was like, San Pedro. He's like, fuck. And so he says he'll give me a ride home. Yeah, I know. And like, I was like, are you sure? I thought you hated me. He's like, I was just being a prick. And then we got in his car and we're driving down, and he's like, so what are you doing in Los Angeles? Why'd you move here? And I said, well, I want to do comedy. I want to be a comedian, and I want comedy. I want to act and stuff like that. He's like, oh, you know I'm a comedian. I was like, no, I know. I remember your bits from Punchline and Revenge of the Nerds Part 2. And he's like, yeah, well, and then we were talking back and forth about comedy, and I hadn't done it yet. I hadn't done any stand-up, and I was afraid to. And he kind of like pumped me up, and like he's like, hey, if you want, like, I know guys at the Comedy Store and I know guys at the Improv that like they can make it so you can just get into the open mic, so you don't have to go on the wait list, or you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to do any of that stuff. And if you want, I can give them your name, and you can call them, and you can sign up that way. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. And I was like, that's really nice. He's like, no, I feel like kind of a piece of shit. And I was like, you kind of redeemed yourself with the ride home, way out of your way. I'm not gonna fuck you. He's like, no, it's okay. And then and because of this guy that hated me so much in the beginning of that day, and for this horrible thing that happened to me passing out in an alleyway in downtown Los Angeles, I found this guy, and in this whole sequence of events, like, prompted me to go and do stand-up for the first time, and like feel okay about it, because just talking to him, talking about how he started and how he got me in without having to go through the irritations of like signing up and waiting in lines, I got to do stand-up, and I got called back, and I got to do regular spots, and all because of this guy that was upset that I wasn't a little tween boy. And that was my big break in this business. I'm Jonah.
I'm a tall person. This is all right. There we go. You guys, let's hear it one more time for Jonah Ray. Oh, y'all. So eponymous means, I'm really busting out the vocab tonight. Eponymous, a show, a thing that is named after the person. The Pete Holmes Show, Adam Devine's House Party, the Eric Andre Show. These are all shows that our next performer has appeared on. He is also going to appear on the Meltdown Show, which will be on a network that is over there. Great, so you guys are going to really enjoy him. He is a fantastic comedian. Let's hear it for Byron Bauer. There he is. Bye, guys.
Where am I? Seems legit. How y'all doing? I am supposed to discuss my big break, but I don't think I had my big break yet. So can I talk about my little break? I went to lunch today for 15 minutes. No, I only got 5 minutes. What the fuck I'm talking about? No, it's been a good year. You can tell with my credits, I've done a little work, and I feel good about it. It's taken me different places. I was at South by Southwest this year for the first time. When something